The Simpsons is arguably one of the greatest sitcoms to have ever graced our television screens, with over 30 seasons of top-tier comedy and some of the most memorable characters ever created. It's no wonder why so many people love this show. However, while there are certainly plenty of reasons to love The Simpsons, there are also a number of reasons to fear it. That's because over the years, this animated sitcom has made some eerily accurate predictions about the future that have come true in real life. And if these predictions are anything to go by, then 2026 is set to be an incredibly scary year for the rest of us, mere mortals. So without further ado, here are 5 scariest Simpsons predictions for 2026. Number 5. An outbreak of the zombie virus. If you've ever been lucky enough to catch the 20th episode of Season 4, then you may remember it for some reason. This episode, which originally aired back in March of 1993, was called Last Exit to Springfield, and the plot revolved around Homer going on strike against Mr. Burns, after he cut the dental plan from the employee's benefits package. But the plot of this episode takes a turn when a power struggle between the workers and Mr. Burns accidentally leads to a meltdown at the Springfield nuclear power plant, which releases a massive amount of radiation into the atmosphere. This, of course, causes all of the townspeople to turn into zombies, with the only cure being a vaccine developed by Professor Frink. Although this episode is mainly remembered for a fantastic musical number performed by a group of striking power plant workers, it also served as a warning of sorts for what would happen less than 2 decades later. In 2009, a nuclear reactor in the small town of Godo, Japan experienced a partial meltdown of its own, turning the entire town into a wasteland and forcing the residents to abandon their homes. While thankfully no one turned into zombies, this event serves as a chilling reminder that nuclear meltdowns can and do happen in real life. And seeing as the next nuclear waste reprocessing plant isn't slated to open until 2026, there's a very real chance that we could see something even scarier than a nuclear meltdown in the coming years. Number 4. A bird flu pandemic. Back in 2006, the world was thrown into chaos when a deadly strain of bird flu emerged in the Republic of Turkey. The strain, known as H5N1, had already killed over 150 people by the time that November rolled around, and scientists were racing against time to develop a vaccine before it mutated into a form that could be passed between humans. This led many experts to believe that a global pandemic was imminent, and they warned that the worst was yet to come. However, thanks to quick reactions from both scientists and governments, the outbreak eventually subsided and things seemed to return to normal. But not everyone was convinced that this was the end of it, and it turns out that Matt Groening and the writers of The Simpsons were 2 of those people. In an episode that aired in 2007, titled Bird Flu, the citizens of Springfield are quarantined in their homes after a deadly strain of bird flu emerges, causing widespread panic and chaos. The episode does an excellent job of satirizing the media's role in amplifying fears of the pandemic, as well as the government's response to it. But it also serves as a grim warning of what could happen if the disease were to spread unchecked. Now, while the bird flu scare of 2006 never ended up developing into a full-blown pandemic, the virus continues to circulate in large numbers of birds around the world today, and outbreaks continue to occur on occasion, such as the one that happened in Israel just a few months ago. This means that, although the threat of a deadly bird flu pandemic may seem low right now, it's important not to let our guard down. And it also means that a Simpsons prediction of a bird flu pandemic may not be as far-fetched as we think. No. 3. A violent uprising. During the first season of The Simpsons, which aired back in 1989, there was an episode called Life on the Public. This episode dealt with a Springfield nuclear power plant polluting the town's water supply, which caused the townspeople to become extremely sick. In order to cover up his mistake, Mr. Burns paid off the mayor to shut down the local water treatment plant and divert the town's water supply to a nearby lake. However, Homer eventually discovers what Mr. Burns is up to and teams up with Lenny, Carl, and Barney to fix the water treatment plant and save the town. While this episode is best remembered for introducing the world to the legendary character of Barney Gump, it also contains another notable scene that has become increasingly relevant in recent years. At one point in the episode, the townspeople gather together in the Springfield Elementary School cafeteria to discuss what to do about their contaminated water supply. As the scene progresses, it becomes clear that the townspeople are becoming more and more frustrated and angry until finally Principal Skinner loses control of the situation and flees through the fire exit. This scene is a rather subtle one, but it contains a dark prediction about the future of the town of Springfield and the rest of the world, seeing as The Simpsons is known for being one of the most satirical shows of all time. It is not too much of a stretch to assume that this scene was meant to represent the growing discontent among the general public towards authority figures. And if that's true, then it seems safe to say that this scene could serve as an omen for what has to come in the near future. Now, whether or not this means that we should expect a violent uprising in 2026 remains to be seen. But one thing is for sure, the world would definitely be a lot scarier if it did happen. No, the discovery of a new planet. For nearly 90 years, Pluto had been considered the 9th planet in our solar system. That was until 2003 when it was reclassified as a dwarf planet. This decision was met with a lot of controversy and debate, as many people felt that Pluto had always been a planet, and that the International Astronomical Union, or IAU, had no right to change that. While the scientific community eventually came to accept Pluto's new status as a dwarf planet, the general public still seemed to be up in arms about it, and it looks like the writers of The Simpsons knew this would be the case years in advance. In 2000, there was an episode called The Planet of the Apes that saw the Simpsons visit the planet Mars, which they believed was inhabited by intelligent life forms. However, upon arriving there, they soon realized that they were actually the intelligent life forms, and that they had just stumbled upon a planet full of monkeys. This episode was a parody of the classic science fiction film series Planet of the Apes, but it also contained a darker message about humanity's arrogance and inability to accept new information. If the episode is anything to go by, then it seems that The Simpsons predicted the controversy surrounding Pluto's demotion from planet to dwarf planet over a decade in advance. And if that's true, then who knows what other predictions they've made that we haven't discovered yet. No one. The death of a president. On December of 1994, Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin was assassinated by a Jewish extremist. His death shocked the nation and the world, and it led to a period of mourning and reflection. Sadly, it seems that the writers of The Simpsons saw this tragedy coming, as there is an episode from 1993 called Bart Gets an Elephant that deals with the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. In the episode, Bart is given an elephant by the president of a fictional country called San. The elephant is a symbol of peace and friendship between the United States and San Cristobal, but Bart soon finds himself unable to take care of the animal. He eventually tries to get rid of the elephant by bringing it to the White House in Washington, D.C., where it runs loose through the halls and eventually steps on the president, killing him. Of course, this scene is meant to be a parody of the events of November 22nd, 1963. When President John F. Kennedy was assassinated while riding in a motorcade in Dallas, Texas, but it is still a rather dark and disturbing prediction considering the fact that it came true in real life, just 1 year later. Well, that about wraps things up for this video, but if you enjoyed it and want to see more of ours just like it, then be sure to check out more content. With that said, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.